Hi everyone! Welcome back to Sulin channel, and today is the second video. First, I want to say thank you to all of you for your support to my first video. It was a surprise to me that the first video has more than 10,000 views up to now, and I'm so happy to receive a lot of messages from friends around the world and know that I can motivate you and I also can help you even just a little bit. So second, I want to say sorry that my second video is too late. I have 3 tests last week, so I cannot make time for a video. Later I will make another video about the life in Seoul National University and the life of a student in Korean University. After the series of scholarship. I know that a lot of you are waiting for the next video about scholarship, and I'm sorry that I cannot make it earlier. I will try to make the next video earlier. And in the last video I said that I will make a vlog about how to make sure 100% you will get a chance into a Korean university. But after the first video was uploaded, a lot of people sent me messages as they didn't understand clearly about KGSB, or they are still struggling with filling the documents. So I think that I will make one more video about KGSB, then I will move to the next video about other scholarship, and the fourth video about interview. I also input your questions in today's video and make the Q&A in each batch. So now we start with KGSB. The first question I get is, where can I apply for KGSB and where can I get the form? So KGSB stands for Korean Government Scholarship Program, and recently it was renamed into Global Korean Scholarship. So information about KGSB can be found in this website. Open Google and type KGSB Graduate or KGSB Undergraduate Guideline 2021 and click to that. And here you go to the website Study in Korea, and there are a lot of language in here. You can choose your language, and this is the official announcement. I will download the guideline in English and application form, university list. We will just check it, and there's also Q&A file in here. Please check it. They answer a lot of questions. They have a lot of scholarship and they also have exchange programs. So if you are an undergraduate student and you have a lot of time before graduation, you can apply for the exchange program first for the experience. And the KGSB scholarship cover tuition fee, two-way air tickets, insurance, and allowance of about 1 million won a month, about $900 a month. They also give a lot of bonus. So in my view, I think KGSB is the best scholarship that you can apply if you want to study in Korea. In the next video, I will compare KGSB with other scholarships so you can see how good KGSB is. KGSB has the undergraduate program normally open in August or September, and the master program open in February or March. You can apply one in 2 track, embassy or university. You cannot apply both tracks, they will disqualify you. But in case you fail the embassy track and the university track is still opening, then you can try to apply for the university track. For university track, you can choose one university and send your document directly to that university. And in this case, you should come to the website of that university and check their detailed requirements. Please don't ask me because I don't know clearly about all the university. And for the embassy track, you also should go to the website of Korean embassy in your country and search for their requirements. Each university and each embassy may have different requirements, so So that's why I cannot answer all of your questions, because sometimes it's very different from your country and my country. Some people ask me whether they should choose university track or embassy track. It's a very difficult question. I think the answer depends on each person. So in this video, I will just figure out and distinguish these two tracks for your understanding, and you can see what is more suitable for you. For university track, you only need to apply for 2 routes. The first is document screening and maybe interview from university, and if you pass, university will send your document to NIL, the National Institute for International Education, the scholarship organization, and if you pass NIL, then you get the scholarship to the university. And for the embassy track, you need 3 routes: document screening and interview from Korean embassy in your country. And if you pass, the embassy will send your document to NIL. And if you pass this route, NIL will send your document to 3 universities that you choose in your application. You should be accepted to get at least 1 acceptance from 1 university. In case you get more than 2 acceptance from more than 2 universities, then that time you can choose. You can make the final decision and send it to NIL. The order of the university you put in the application does not matter. For example, I got acceptance to Seoul National University, Yonsei University, and Cheonnam University. And then I fill in a form and say that I will choose SNU and send it to NIL. However, there's a deadline for this. If you get acceptance from the university later than the deadline of NIL, then the acceptance from the university will be invalid. This case also happens, but it's very rare. So the good thing to apply through university track is that the process takes less time, and if you pass the second route, you do not need to wait anymore. You also need to compete with students who apply for that university only. The good thing about applying through the embassy track is that you can choose 3 universities, so you can have a backup plan in case your first and second choice is competitive. But you have to compete with everyone from other majors in your countries also. People ask me to give advice about which track they should follow, so it's very difficult to answer. It depends on each person. If you have one special university you like, or that major can only be taken in that university, then you can apply via university track and show them you are very interested in them. Or if you are in this following case, such as your current professor introduced you to a professor in a specific university, you have exchange experience in a specific university, or you are confident that you are very strong in that major. If you apply through university track, you get higher chance to pass because the university directly check your documents and they can see how much you are suitable with the university. In other case, if you don't have any specific university that you want to apply for, choosing 3 universities through embassy track can be considered. For me, I want to study at the university in Sky, so I choose embassy track. Just imagine I apply to Seoul National University through university track. I think I will fail from the first route, so I choose embassy track to put 2 other university options, so at least I can pass one. Each country and university also has their own quota, so you also should consider this while choosing which track you will apply for. It might be different following each university and embassy, so my video today only focus on the guideline from NIL. Please consider my video as a reference only and make sure you check the information on the website of the embassy or the university you apply for. Okay, so let's start our tutorial.
When you open the available university and field of study file, you can see a lot of university in here. You can change the seat to check the university. For example, I check Seoul National University, and in here you can see all the departments they have, the major, the course is in Korean or English. You can check it here. Something 100% Korean, something 100% English, and sometimes Korean and English both. One friend asked me, in case they teach in both Korean and English, whether it's 50-50 or 70-30%, this one you have to check on the website of the university. And actually it depends on the course you choose. You know that all the university now we can choose the course we want to take. And in case the major is in both Korean and English, you register the course, you can choose it by yourself. And in here, please see the remarks carefully. Sometimes they have more requirements than the KJSP itself. Yeah, so this one, please check it alone. And also people send me questions like what major I should take, or what major is popular in Korea, or what school is popular for this kind of major, blah blah. I'm sorry, I don't know clearly. I cannot answer all that kind of question because it's difficult, and only you can know what major you want to take. My advice is you check the file and see which university has the major you want, and then check the ranking of the university. Maybe that's a good method. So now we downloaded the file, and this is how it looked like. We'll check one by one. First, program objective. The importance in applying for scholarship is to understand whom they want to choose. Each scholarship has their own purpose, and you should show them you are the one they want. It is not about lying. It's about choosing what you want to say in a short application. For example, GKS focus on international education exchange and deepening mutual friendship between Korea and participating countries. Post-course scholarship prefer applicants who show leadership ability. Therefore, for each scholarship you should write in a different way, following this objective. So I think it's a must that you should show your interest about Korea when you apply for KJSP scholarship. Second, number of expected grantees. In this part, please check carefully the quota for each country. If your country is not on the list, I'm sorry, but it means that you will not be chosen. You can try to find other scholarships. I will introduce them in the next video. Available university and field of study. This one you can check the university and field of study that you can choose. There are Type A and Type B. Applicants apply for science and engineering major of regional university must choose universities in Type B. Embassy track applicants must choose 3 different universities, and these 3 universities must include at least 1 university from Type B. For example, if you are interested in textile, you can check whether this university has the textiles or not. For example, this is Kumo National Institute of Technology, and they don't have textiles. Okay, so please check one by one. For embassy track, you can choose 3 same majors or 3 different majors. Because majors in each university are not the same. For example, for Seoul National University, I choose International Commerce, but for Yonsei University, I choose International Business Strategy. But it doesn't make sense if you choose one chemistry and one textile major. You can check on the internet and with your professors, seniors about the strengths of each university. For example, Hanyang University is famous for engineering major. KAIST is famous for science. Seoul National University seems very academic. My advice is just follow your heart and your goal. Next is eligibility. And I mentioned before, you must hold a nationality that is invited to take part in the GCAS program. About degree, you must hold a master degree to apply for PhD program, bachelor degree to apply for master, and must graduate high school to apply for undergraduate program. For research program, you must receive an invitation letter from the partner university. If you graduate from a Korean university, you are not allowed to apply. Some people ask me if they are in the third year of their undergraduate, can they apply? The answer is you must hold a degree by the time you start the program in Korea. For example, if you apply for the master program which starts on September 1st, you must get your bachelor degree by August 31st. When applying in February or March, you are required to submit a certificate of expected graduation. Then if you pass, you can submit your degree letter to NIL by August 31st. The same rule applies to undergraduate and PhD. You must be under 40 for graduate and under 25 for undergraduate program. About grades, you can check the CGPA requirements in here. You must meet at least one condition in this. So, if your GPA is lower than this requirement, you cannot apply for the program. In the last video, I say that my GPA is low, but it just means that my GPA is lower than most of people who apply for the scholarship. It doesn't mean that my GPA is under the requirement. You only need to meet at least one condition, not all these conditions. I have a lot of questions about this. First, I will show you how to convert your grade under NIL's regulation. You can check it on the page 22 of this file. Here. So if you are in our scale of GPA, you can change it into 100 point scale by this. I think that this conversion gives you a higher percentage than your expectation. For example, mine is 3.37. And in 100 scale it is 8.25. However, in here you can see that it is 88%. It is much higher than my real score. Use this conversion to check your grade. Maybe you think that it's low, but maybe you actually pass the requirement. Okay, next is health. You need to fill in a personal medical assessment to confirm your health condition. In the application period, you do not need to have your health checked. You only need to fill in the Form 8. If you pass the second round, then you need to submit the medical test record. And here are some further conditions about reapplying the program. Yes, if you fail, you still can apply for the program again. If you reapply the program, I think you do not need this video, so I will not go into detail. Korean language teaching professional program is separated with its own quota and condition. You can check it here. And if you graduate from Korea or withdraw after being selected as GCAS, you are not allowed to apply for the program. So next is required document. Here the list of documents that you should submit. I will go from number 9 to number 27 and then explain number 1 to 8 later. From number 9 to 21st, you must submit the original document. However, they do not return the documents, so I advise you not to submit the real one. Copy the document and get them notarized. Some people ask me whether the document should be notarized by the embassy or notary office are accepted. It depends on the regulation of each country and embassy. In my case, which means Vietnam and Seoul National University, notary office confirmation is enough.
If the document is not in English, you must submit the notarized English or Korean translation version. A friend asked, if we apply for the second time in order to get this scholarship, then do we need to notarize again all the documents or not? Yes, if you apply again, you need to make every document as normal as you did it the first time. The recommendation letter also should be written again. As I mentioned, if you do not have a degree, you can submit the certificates of expected graduation instead. About the certificates of employment, you can make your own form and ask your boss to sign and stamp on it. I also found a sample on Google and make it. You do not need to submit your contract. You can take my version as a reference. You do not need to submit your contract. About proof of citizenship, you can submit any document that shows yours and your parents' nationalities. For example, in Vietnam, it can be a passport, certificate of birth, or household registration book. You can submit other certificates and documents such as TOEIC score, English score, public paper, award certificates, and activity certificates. Many people ask me about this, so I will answer through this video. I have TOEIC 5 and IELTS when I apply. I have no certificates or award. These documents are not compulsory, but it's better if you have it. You at least should submit English or Korean test score to show them that you have language ability to live well in Korea. Some people told me that they do not have money for taking the test. I know it might be very expensive to someone, especially a high school student, but you cannot get anything without investment. One lesson I get from applying for a scholarship is only people with money can study abroad. Even if we apply for a scholarship, we need to pay money for tests, notarizing documents, printing fees, sending the application, and expense on transportation to do all the process. Believe me, I tried almost all kinds of scholarship to Korea, and GKS is the cheapest one. If you apply for a general track, you even need to pay about $80 for application fee for each university. If you want to study abroad, you actually need to invest at least an amount of money and a lot of time. So do not skip the chance just because of money. Think of it as an investment. High score is good, but even if you don't have a high score, just submit it. The more the better. My IELTS is not high, so I don't tell you here. And for Korean, I think if you have TOEIC 2 or 3, it's good enough to submit. And don't be afraid of Korean. I got TOEIC 5 after 1 year of self-study, and even the actual study time is just over 8 months. I can tell you about it in another video. Korean university care more about academic ability, so it's okay if you do not have any HR activities. These activities might have them understand you more, but if you have public paper or reward, you will get bonus points for your application. They also have instruction about how to fill in the document. You should write it down in English or Korean. You also need to submit 2 recommendation letters from 2 different recommenders who can provide thorough assessment on your academic abilities. As you can see here, professor or the head of the organization that you are working for are good recommenders. So this is the answer for those who ask me whether somebody supervising your HR activity is accepted. Yes, they are accepted, but not preferred. Why do you want to lose your chance? As I mentioned, they care a lot about your academic ability, so the recommendation letter should focus on how good you are in the field and how potential you will be in the field. If you submit through embassy track, you need 4 original recommendation letters, so please remember to ask your recommenders about it. It needs to be sealed, so copy one is in. After getting the recommendation letter, you should put it on an envelope. And have your recommendation letter signed or stamped on it in here, in the back. It's good to use a letter that has the logo of your organization or your university. Have your professor or boss sign in here. Like this. Or stamp. Stamp is much better. It's quite annoying for the recommenders, so another thing is count in advance how many recommendation letters you need if you apply for other scholarship also. I still remember I asked my professor for 8 copies because I submitted postcode and general check for University, Yonsei and Sogang also. I will talk about other scholarship in the next video. I was so embarrassed and I feel that I annoyed her too much. It's better to ask for 8 recommendation letter at one time than coming to her 5 times. The friend asked whether the recommendation letter need to be notarized or not. As your recommender sign and seal it, there's no chance for notarizing the letter. If you notarize it, it will be so weird. And someone asked me how long the recommendation letter should be. There's no restriction, but I think it's better to be 1 page. It looks more professional and normally they only write it down in 1 page. Here is some instruction about certificate. I think I mentioned it already. Please give it a look on your own. Be noted that the deadline depends on each university and each embassy. Some countries have online submission system, but some not. You should check it on your own. Here is the timeline of selection procedure. So basically you apply, you pass the document route, then you go for an interview. I will also talk about the interview in another video, maybe the 4th one. Then if you pass the interview, you need to submit a medical checkup result. Then if you pass all, for the embassy check, you need to submit a choice of university. Then just wait for their invitation letter, make a visa and prepare packing to go to Korea. GK student gets a lot of support in making visa even during the COVID-19 time. It depends on the university, but normally they will book the air ticket for you and pick up you at the airport. So do not worry about it. As long as you pass, everything will be fine. You must check the deadline on your own. If you fail the first round of the embassy check, you can reapply for the university check. Be noted that the document should be submitted in a A4 size. If it is smaller, you can attach it on a blank A4 paper. And if your document is bigger, you should fold it to an A4 size. Evaluation factors is basically all the documents you submitted. You will be preferred if you have topic 3 or above and English stats also. Natural science and engineer field is preferred. Applicants from low-income families will be given preference. After I uploaded the first video, someone asked me whether it's really necessary to mention that we lack money. I know it's difficult to tell them that you lack money if in the application it shows that you used to study in Europe or USA. Some of you might be rich, but here is the answer. They write it down here. Showing your difficult family background can gain a bonus point. Someone also asked me whether writing down father passing away is too emotional. It's not. My Korean friend told me that students in Korea get more support if their father or mother pass away. It's not something to be shy or you should hide. You'll grow up well in a difficult situation. Let them see it. Medical assessment, I don't think that we need to think about it now. Please check it again after you pass. Scholarship information. So it is a 5-year bachelor, 3-year program for master and 4-year program for doctor program, including 1 year of Korean language school. If you have topic 5 or 6, you can be exempted from Korean language year. It's me. So I am a 2020 scholar, but I am in SNU now. I think joining language school is much funnier. You can enjoy 1 year exploring Korean culture. For me, I feel like my profile is not high and I do not have much time, so I submit topic 5 and skip the language school. You must get topic 3 or higher after the language year, but you do not need to worry about it now. Scholarship benefit. I mentioned it already. Please check it. You get 100,000 Korean won more, about $100 if you have topic 5 or 6. I might say it later, but if you are curious, this amount is enough for living in Korea. I actually saved up and bought a MacBook last week or so. So, come back to the main point, application. So, come back to the main point, application form. Oh my god, I think this video will be very long. I'm sorry. So, first, do not write in this area. You don't need to write here. And then, write out your name. And I think it's good to write out your name in capital letters so they can check it clearly, as sometimes handwriting is confusing. And check everything in here and check which document you will submit. Depends on each situation. Basically, just fill in everything in this form, and in here you can fill in your topic and English score. If you have published paper or thesis or award, you can fill in the name here, but if not, it's okay. And choice of university. So please check the Excel file again and fill in the university, division, department, and major. And for example, in my choice, Seoul National University, you can see in here, division, department, and scroll down and find the majors you want. So in here, division is liberal arts and social science, and the department is international study, and then the major is international commerce. That's how you fill in the form. In here, fill in your degree and your GPA. So some people are also concerned about how to fill in this GPA table. So for example, in my case, 3.37, and in the conversion table it means 88 above 100. And there are two options that you can choose for filling this form. For example, you can calculate your GPA based on your transcription, but in my case, because I graduated 3 years already, so I didn't remember which course I took in the first semester and which course I took in the second semester, so I just fill in everything the same. Like this, it's okay. And in here, employment or professional research experience. This is the part I mentioned in the first video, so please write out in detail about what you do. So please explain briefly but detail about what you did in your work or your research activities, because it will help them understand you more. And you can make this table longer, it's okay, no worry about it. And then fill in everything and sign in here. So I have several questions about this. Is gap year affecting the application? I think gap year is okay as long as you tell them a good story about your gap year. Second, do we fill in the form with all capital letters or only at the beginning of the word use capital letters? I think only at the beginning of the word is better, because filling everything in capital letters seems a little tired for the eyes, I feel. Third, if I didn't get good points for several semesters but I have overall over 80%, is it okay? Yes, it is okay. So actually, for example, in here you are 3 and in here you are 3.3 and in here 3.5. Actually, it's so that you study much harder through each semester, so it's also very good point. And next, personal statement. Somebody asked whether we can delete this sentence or not. Yes, you can. In my case, I didn't delete it. I just answer each question. For example, the first question, motivation. Then I answer it. And then family background, I answer it. And then do the next one. So I just write short paragraph in here or just use the bullet like this. And I told you all my tips already in the first video, so please check it. But still people ask me about personal statement and statement of purpose, so I don't know what you want to hear. So I will try to add some more advice. First, this is only one page writing and you have 5 questions. So please choose carefully what you want to say. Don't try to say everything. For example, this year questions does not include why you want to study in Korea. So don't explain a lot about how Korea is good in economics and in technology and blah blah. It's not something they ask. Oh, actually it's still a tip from the first video. Anyway, because you have 5 questions, don't go into something not important. And maybe some of you don't know how to write out the personal statement and statement of purpose. That's why you ask me. I will instruct you by a short paragraph I wrote. I think that is not the best sample, but I hope that you can get something. So as I tell you, I just answer each question like this. Yeah, I don't write it in a long paragraph, and I will make this writing as the sample. Reason for studying in Korea. So I will tell you how to write out about yourself even they don't ask. For example, I choose 3 reasons for studying in Korea, and actually this also might be a question in your interview. If you are such a talented person, why you don't go to USA or Europe, why you choose to study in Korea? So first I write out about academic training and active university lifestyle. It's much better to talk about academic training and study than K-pop. If it shows that you are serious with your studying. And second is about I'm more familiar with Korean culture than other countries. So it answers the question that why you don't choose other country. And the third is I want to study Korean language. Yes, so you can see that all these answers are directly connected to Korea. If you write down Korea is a good country, then US and UK are also good countries. If you write down you want to study, for example, engineering, so you come to Korea. Why you don't come to US or UK for engineering? So my point is your answer should be convincible. It should be directly connected to the question. As you can see in here, for each reason I try to show something for myself. For example, in here I write down that it's very suitable with my studying style. So in here I also show that I'm very good at teamwork activities and academic training. In here I'm talking about Korean culture is more suitable for me, but I also again mention that I work in Korea for 2 years. And in the last one, I say that I want to study Korean language, but in there I put a small point that I have studied Korean by myself. So this is your tip for writing. always try to put something, some strength of you on the writing, even they don't ask about it. So write about your strength again and again in all the parts of the application in a different way, so they will have a strong impression about you. Statement of purpose. So actually also my tips are on the first video already, but this year the question is changed a little. So in here they ask how you improve foreign language before and after you come to Korea. So please write down already before and after, so you also should write down before and after. Please following the question. Don't just write something you want. So before you come to Korea, I think there's a lot of ways to study Korean, like study the alphabet, study the basics level, and study like daily conversation. Or you can communicate with people of the airport or in the beginning of your life in Korea. And after that, talk about how you study in the language school and through other activities. And please mention about topic. For example, getting topic 5 or topic 3 after 1 year of studying, blah blah. Okay, goal of study and detailed study plan. Goal of study actually is depend on you. I have nothing to say about it here. And study plan, I think it's not a must, but maybe you can talk about the first year, second year, and then have this plan. So I have read some people goal of study and detailed study plan. Some of you are very enthusiastic with your major, so you write out a lot about your major, but actually it's not something they ask. Like, it's not writing about economic in Vietnam and economic in Korea is like this. It's not something they ask. Please control yourself and focus on the question. So you still can write about it, but don't write it as the main point. It's just a supportive factor for the main point, like this. Future plan after study. So please try to answer at least 3 questions. Will you stay in Korea or not? Will you stay in Korea or come back to your country? What you want to do in the future, and how you will contribute back to Korea or your country. And this statement of purpose can be 2 pages. I have some questions. Should statement of purpose be long? So they write down it in here. It should not be more than 2 pages. And one point I want to add is I also write down my thesis plan in here. Thesis plan. And my brief outline of it. Yeah, it shows that I'm really serious with my studying. So regarding the thesis plan, I got some questions. First, how can I do research for the information about research topic? Because we are going to do a thesis in Korean, and we are hard to find out which research gap has not been done yet by Korean. So, and my Korean proficiency is not enough for me to search everything in Korean. So I only found limited information for topics in my major. So as you apply in English, I guess you can just try to find some topic in English and write out it on the application. And then after 1 year in language school and your Korean ability is better, that time you can try to research again about which research has not been done yet in Korean. Actually, because when you apply the scholarship and when you really do the thesis, it may take
1 or 2 or 3 years more. So even at the time of application, the research has not been done yet, but after 1 or 2 or 3 years, when you start your thesis, maybe that topic is taken already. So it's just a beforehand preparation, so it is not something really happened. So you can just search in English first and prepare it and tell them that you might change it in the future. And second, somebody asked about how to find out your own research area, title that you are interested in, like which website you use or how you research. So actually I just use Google Scholar. You can try to Google Scholar and then searching, for example, media communication or that kind of thing, and see which kind of topics has been taken already. So in my case, I was just interested in how to have Korean companies to penetrate into Vietnamese market, and I intended to write a thesis about that. Now I realize it's not a suitable topic, so don't worry, just show them how you're interested in the field. It's not something you must do once you write out. The last one, when you write a contribution to both countries, what do you write? I heard from many other people that someone write out something like making a library for Korean people in Vietnam because there has been no such library. It might be a good example. In my case, I just write out about how I will contribute to the relationship and the economic relationship between Korean and Vietnam. That's all. Research proposal. So this is for research program only. I am not a research program applicant, so I don't know clearly about it. If you are a research program applicant, you need to fill in this form. If you are not, then you don't need to do. Recommendation letter. So please don't be confusing. So basically your recommender should fill in this form and sign in here. And also you need to submit the letter that I show in the first part. It means that this form and also letter separately. Okay, don't forget to fill in this form. In here they also write out about it. Now I have some questions such as, who can I take the recommendation letter from? It is okay to take a recommendation letter from a supervisor in some extra activity, and how can they write out the recommendation letter? So let me take an example for you. These are people who can write you a recommendation letter. First, headmaster. Second, academic advisor. Third, professor or teacher. And supervisor. And also your boss. So I will take an example of Ron Weasley. I hope that you all know Harry Potter. So headmaster is Dumbledore. Advisor is Professor McGonagall. Professor, for example, Hagrid. Yeah, a very close professor. Supervisor, I will take Sirius Black as an example. Even he's not really supervisor, but they are in the same order of the phonics, so let's take him as an example. I don't think that Ron has a boss in the story. Just take an example, okay? Harry is a boss. Of course, it's not true, just an example. So, among these 5 people, who is the best choice? I will rank them from 1 to 5. So, you can choose the suitable one in your case. So I think Sirius Black is the fifth in the ranking because Sirius Black is not related to Ron's academic ability. Sirius Black only can say about how good Ron is in the discharge activity, but he cannot say anything about Ron's academic ability. So the recommendation is not really good for studying. The fourth is Hagrid. Hagrid is a professor in magical creature, so Hagrid can say about how good Ron is in the class, but only in his class. Hagrid cannot speak about how good Ron is in the defending the dark art. His recommendation letter is just quite good, not really good, because he only can say about one class only, even they are very close. And the next is Dumbledore. I put Dumbledore below Harry because Dumbledore is actually not close to Ron. So if Dumbledore writes a recommendation letter for Ron, he also cannot speak about how good Ron is in the class. The good part of a recommendation letter from Dumbledore is he's the headmaster, so the recommendation letter seems so trustable and powerful. However, Dumbledore is not close to Ron, so the letter from Dumbledore for Ron is actually the same with the letter from Dumbledore to other students, such as Harry Potter, Hermione, or even worse. So, getting a letter from Dumbledore is just like I get a recommendation letter from headmaster, but the content inside the letter is not really specific, and the relationship is not close enough to write out in detail. And second is Harry, because Harry is working directly with Ron, so Harry can list down a lot of events or projects or how good Ron is in dealing some problem. And second, they are very close, so Harry also can speak about the strength and the weakness of Ron. And the third one, Harry also can talk a little about Ron's academic ability through their experience together. Like in this situation, I see that Ron has this skill and this knowledge about this problem and blah blah blah. So I think he can study well in the future. And the best one is a recommendation letter from McGonagall. She's the academic advisor and she's also the professor and she's also the head of Gryffindor. So McGonagall has a lot of things to say. This is just an example, but what I want to say is try to find someone who's very close to you and can say about your academic ability. In case you cannot find someone like that, then a recommendation letter from some high-ranking people are also good, such as headmaster. And in case you also cannot reach your headmaster, then you can try to reach a teacher or professor. Supervisor is the last choice. So about how to make a recommendation letter, I make an example here. It's not the best example and you can find a lot of other examples on the internet. You can input the logo and the name in the headline. It's the headline, but because I've opened the file in GoodNotes, so the design is not really good. And then the date, and then the year, and then first short introduction about the recommenders, who the recommender are. Try to show that the recommender is a trustable or a powerful or high-ranking person in the field. Second is explain about the relationship between you and the recommenders. And next one, it depends on what you do with the recommenders. The content may be different. So I choose McGonagall, and actually I think McGonagall is a very good case. The first paragraph is an example of how the professor in charge of you can write a recommendation letter for you. Even she does not teach you directly. she can write out about your strengths and weakness, about your characters. And next is about the professor who teach you. So she can write out about how good you are at the class and how good you are compared to other students, what results you get from the course. And you also submit your transcription in the application, so please make sure that the course you take from the professor has high grade. If they check the transcription and see that you have a C mark or D mark, then the recommendation letter seems so weird. And third one is the academic advisor. I say it's the best because the academic advisor can see your ability and also can say about your future potential ability. So that's why in this paragraph, Makunnagon can say that I think the oral program is extremely suitable for role. And next is how a supervisor can write out about your extra activity. They can list down all the things you do together and how good you are in the activity. After writing down this, we realize that Ron is a very talented person, right? And the last one can be about your financial situation if you are close, or about how potential you can be in the future, and again recommend that you are very suitable for the program and you will be a very great person in the future if you get support or you get admission from the program. Yeah, it's an example from me. So try to get a good one from a person who know you well. Letter of invitation. If you take the research program, then you need to fill in this form. I think this form you need to take from the university, the partner university. I didn't do it, so I don't know how to, but it seems like it's not difficult. And Form 7, agreement, then you just tick everything and sign in, that's all. And sign in. And the personal medical assessment, then you fill in all the information, and that's all for everything. I received some more questions about Kajansky, and I think I will answer now because I want to make one more video about Kajansky separately, how to submit. Actually, this one you need to contact the embassy or the university because each embassy or university has their own regulation. I also mentioned in the beginning of the video, so please check carefully with the embassy or the university. You can check on the website or email them or call them. Second, you will have to submit 3 copies of every document separately or combined in one. So in this case, you apply through the embassy check. So actually, we need 4 copies, 1 original copies and 3 copies. You should make the document separately because later, if you pass the embassy route, then the embassy will send those 3 copies to those 3 universities. So each document should be made separately. Third one, can we courier the documents at the nearby Korean embassy or do you have to submit it physically? So this really depends on the embassy, but in my case, we can send it by post or we can submit it personally. Both are okay. And I know that in India, they also have the online application. I don't understand clearly about it, but please check with your embassy. And the 4th question is a friend who said that her GPA, I don't know her or him, but okay, maybe her GPA is low and she doesn't have any extra activity. She does not have English and she does not have any award or certificate. She also feels very embarrassed to take a recommendation letter from school. She's afraid that people will laugh at her if she asks for a recommendation letter. However, she really wants to go to Korea especially Seoul National University. So what should she do? And actually, it's the thinking of many people. I also feel like I'm not qualified enough. And my answer for this question is, if you feel like you really don't have anything, then maybe it's not the time to apply yet. I'm sorry to say that, but you at least should have one strength. If you have nothing special in your application, then it's very difficult. For me, I think if I apply after my graduation, I would also fail because I didn't have anything special. My GPA is normal. I didn't have TOEIC or IELTS that time. I have no certificate. I'm totally same as you. I think in that case, the chance is very small, and I have 3 years more for working and study Korean. And actually, when I applied for this scholarship, I don't have high GPA, I don't have any certificate, I don't have high English score, but at least I have TOEIC 5 and I have experience in economics for 3 years. At least I have something. So in case that you feel like you don't have anything, then maybe you should spend more time on accumulating your experience, your ability. Please don't try to get something if you don't invest anything. You should invest on your knowledge, your English and Korean ability, your working experience. Try to get more certificates as you could. However, you don't need to wait until you are ready. You don't need to wait until you have 100% to apply. I think 50 is not enough, but if you have 70 or 80, you can try to apply for the program. For me, I feel like my profile is only 70 or 80% good compared to other people. But if you are just 40 or 50, then the chance is very small. Try to make it 70, 80, 90, 100 is very good. Okay, so I think if you want to get to Korea, please invest in yourself. There is that is not the time yet, but as long as you really want to go to Korea, 1 or 2 years later doesn't matter. If someone wants to work part-time in Korea during the scholarship, is this allowed? So working part-time is allowed in the vacation, but it's not allowed in the semester. So in the semester, you only can work in some part-time job that is related to your university or related to your internship that you must take. So it means that you can work on campus or research program. 6. How to apply for and win Korea scholarship. My advice is prepare the best for yourself and try to apply as many scholarships as you can. So I will talk about other scholarship in the next video, how to make sure 100% you get into Korea. 7. Can you apply for multiple Korean scholarship at the same time? Yes, you can. 8. How do I prove that I took certain extracurricular class if they didn't give me a certificate or something like that? I don't know. I also didn't submit any certificates in my application, but I talk about it in my personal statement. They ask about extra activity, and also in the recommendation letter from my professor in university. She also write out about my extra activities, so it's one way to showing your extra activities. 9. My high school grades are too good, but the problem is I don't have that much curriculum activities. Can you please give me some suggestions? What should I do to increase the possibility to get the scholarship? So, my advice is, if you have time, please try to get higher TOEIC score, higher English score, and more extra activity. You can try to find it on the internet. later, if you're interested, I also can share with you how I find my extra activities in another video, but I'm not sure yet. It's getting into sky hot. Yeah, of course, it's very competitive. So try to make some backup plan if you apply for Sky. Yeah, I will say about it in the next video. 11. What if parents do not support our application? Here is a hard problem. You need money even when you apply for a program in your country. So please try to talk to your parents and try to persuade them that you are pursuing your dream and you are thinking carefully about your future. But in case they still don't allow you to apply for studying abroad, then I think you must try somehow to earn money and apply by yourself. I'm sorry, it's very difficult situation. But I believe that there are a lot of people who suffer this. I didn't have much money when I was in university, in my undergraduate, so I also didn't think about study abroad that time. Yeah, if we are not in a good situation, it's so sad that maybe we need to try to overcome the situation first, and then when we are in a better condition, we can apply for the program. 12. If it's okay to make friends to KGSP. My KGSP friends are very nice. My best friend from university now are also in KGSP program. Because, we share the same background. Most people from KGSP program are not rich. Yeah, most people, not everyone, but I feel like we have the same lifestyle and same thinking, and we also, when we start coming to Korea, we share a lot about how to adapt to Korea and how to make some kind of documents in Korea, so we became very close to each other. And if you join the Korean language program, you have 1 year together.
Thank you for watching the video today, and I hope that this video today is useful for you. And if you have any questions, please put it in the Google form so I can collect it and answer in the next video. The next video can be about how to make sure 100% you can get into a Korean university. And good luck!